where are we? Intuitively, we think about it pretty much like this. There is me and there's everything else outside of me. We are in a body, in a world, and everything around us is also made of the same stuff, which is matter. And this whole material world, or the cosmos, is where everything is happening. That's essentially the typical story that we tell ourselves, right? This matter, something called matter, evolved for billions of years. And then at some point, this matter evolves into these biological special kinds of machines called neurons. And these neurons are stacking up together by evolution, and they create something that we call conscious experience. And this material world, this cosmos, is where we are. We and all the objects, be it planets or celestial objects, whatever they are, or just rocks, minerals, plants, vegetation, animals, and other people, other humans. So I perceive all of these things, I interact with them, and all of us are ultimately bits of matter living together in this material world that existed before us and will exist after us, and this entire cosmos is where we are. Now, this story, which is again the intuitive story that we're all familiar with and that we typically start our day thinking that this is where we are, it's a story that makes a lot of sense. It sits well with our senses, with our understanding and perception of the world. It's easy to visualize, and it worked with our understanding of time and space and history, and it's all good, except that it's just a story. And the reason I'm saying that is because no human being ever had access to the outside reality. We never actually know what is outside of us, what is out there outside of us. So we think we're in a body and the world is external to us, but we don't actually know where we are because we don't perceive what's outside of us, ever. This is a quote from Baal HaSulam, the greatest Kabbalist of the previous century, his foreword to the Book of Zohar. Take our sense of sight, for example. We see a wide world before us, wondrously filled, but in fact, we see all of that only in our own interior. In other words, there's a sort of a photographic machine in our hindbrain which portrays everything that appears to us and nothing outside of us. A kind of polished mirror that inverts everything seen there so we will see it outside our brain, in front of our faces. Yet, what we see outside of us is not a real thing. Even though we see everything as being in front of us, every reasonable person knows for certain that all that we see is only in our own brains. Now, that's what he decides to write as part of a preparation for those who are going to read about this deeply spiritual text called the Book of Zohar. Baal HaSulam really doesn't tell us here more than what science already knows. He's reminding us how our brain and our senses, how they work. We believe that we see reality, which is outside of us, but what's actually happening is that we're closed inside this box and we have these five senses. We have the sense of sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. And through these five senses, we'd like to think that these senses are like windows to the outside world. That's how we intuitively understand reality. So, we almost think about colors and smells and sounds as things that are traveling through the air, and then through these five openings that we have, we sort of perceive them. We let them in, and then we have windows to the outside world. But our senses aren't really openings. Instead, what's happening is that some information, some sensorial information is hitting our senses, and then our senses send these ultimately electrical impulses to our brain, and the picture that we call reality, the picture of reality, is created here, inside our brain. So we don't really know what is outside. Even Galileo, about 500 years ago, who is widely considered the father of modern science, said the following: "I think that tastes odors, colors, and so on reside in consciousness. Hence, if the living creature were removed, all these qualities would be wiped away and annihilated. So where are we, really? Where do Kabbalists stand on this? Kabbalists take it all the way, meaning, from a Kabbalistic perspective, everything that we experience, and I mean everything, is a product of our consciousness. So it's not just tastes and sounds and scents and colors like Galileo mentions here. It's also what we call brains and neurons. It's all of matter. It's the entire cosmos. It's the very fabric of space and time. All of that is some virtual reality experience that we are having, and in it, we think we have a body and a brain and neurons, and there's other people and other things and other animals and plants, and there's a material world outside of us. But if you really understand that all of reality is perceived from within our own senses and from within our own consciousness, then all of it, including time and space and the whole cosmos, all of it is perceived within us. And the Kabbalists refer to the perceiver, the thing that perceives reality, as a vessel, the vessel of experience, the vessel that perceives reality. And in Hebrew, this is called kli. And again, literally, this translates to the word vessel. That is the word that Kabbalists use. They don't actually use the word consciousness, almost not at all. They use the word vessel, and the vessel is that which holds our whole perception of reality. So both me and everything that I think of as outside of me is still within my perception of reality that is produced within my perception. And they call the perceiver the vessel, the kli, the vessel that perceives and experiences reality. All that Kabbalists do is research their own vessel of experience. That's it. That's why Kabbalah is an empirical practice, because Kabbalists don't imagine or believe that something exists outside. Even when they say words like the Creator, they are referring to an experience within that kli, within that vessel. And what they found is that when you focus on researching, studying your own vessel of experience, studying what you are and how you perceive reality, you can find a way to recalibrate your vessel of experience so that you can perceive the same reality, but in a different way, in a deeper way. And that is where you access a different level of consciousness or a higher level of consciousness.